My wife just landed in Taiwan. It's 9 p.m. there, so go ahead.
What's she doing? Work, travel?
Yeah.
What do we got?
So we actually have friends, a couple that just got married in July, and the wife is Taiwanese. Her family's Taiwanese. So they did one wedding here in San Diego, and then they're doing a second wedding in Taiwan. So all my friends flew to Taiwan to be a part of this second wedding they're having with her whole mom's side in Taiwan.
Oh, sweet.
Unfortunately, I had to skip it.
Yeah.
Nature of the job.
Nature of the job, for sure.
I'm so jealous. They're doing night markets and doing all the going out to hot springs.
All the goodies.
I got Chargers Colts though.
Yeah, got Chargers coming. Yeah, we got a red hot Daniel Jones, baby. Let's do this. Welcome into Scoop City on a Thursday. I'm James Homer. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Tell your friends, please. We have a monster show for you, and it is Thursday. So we're going to tour the NFL. We're going to take you around the league before this weekend of games. But we're also going to take you inside the locker room of a couple of teams. Theo Johnson leading the Giants with 3 touchdown catches. The tight end's going to join us in his pads, I believe, fresh off the field. He's going to tell us about Cam Scattaboo, Jackson Dart, everything that's going on with that energized offense. Also, we have Ladd McConkey, fresh off a 100-yard game. The Chargers wide receiver made the key play to potentially saving their season against the Dolphins. Also, we have several of our excellent athletic writers joining us, starting with Zach Berman, who is going to tell us if Philadelphia, with a mini bye, remember, I did a lot for them last year, maybe has fixed some of the things on the offensive side of the ball. So, all right, let's go. Let's tour the NFL. Our tour around the league on a Thursday starts off with our good buddy Zach Berman. He's got his Jennifer Lopez microphone. He's ready to roll here. Before we talk Eagles, Zach, you were part of an interesting situation. Not sure this has happened to you before, but a gentleman is arrested at MetLife in a Saquon Barkley jersey. He's handcuffed, walks by you in the tunnel. Zach, love your work. Did the same thing to Dave Zangaro. Dave, love your work. Give us the backstory of what happened with your interaction with this fan that didn't have a great night, I guess, towards the end, maybe worse than the Eagles did.
Yeah, I'm standing by the wall outside the locker room, and as you know, in the bowels of the stadium, corridor of the stadium, it's not just where the locker rooms are, but where people get in trouble, so to speak. And so this guy's walking down. He's in a Kelly Green Saquon Barkley jersey, handcuffed behind his back, and we kind of lock eyes, and I wasn't sure if I knew him or he knew me, and he just says, "Love your work." And so I was very grateful, very appreciative, right?
Of course.
And so I say thank you, and then as he's walking by, or as he's walking past, I think the police officer asked who that is, and he said, "That's Zach Berman." And so we need to get the police officer an athletic subscription. And
yeah, we do.
I appreciate the support from the guy who by the way, he got off once they looked at security footage. He did not start the fight in question. So this is not an example of an Eagles fan gone bad.
Oh, I love it. That's the in-depth journalism you get from Zach Berman. Figuring out if this man was wrongly accused or not is where we go with our journalism here at The Athletic. I had a buddy once, I remember before the Eagles and Falcons playoff game at the Vet, we've tailgated all day. And for some reason, Zach, he just climbs over the railing and sits on the Eagles bench pregame.
Is that right? Okay.
In his one-piece hunting gear and Donovan McNabb jersey. And he's hanging out with the players. And all of a sudden, he's just tackled by 8 people and goes to the jail at the Vet, and he misses the whole game. I don't know what he was thinking, but I don't think he was in the right frame of mind.
Yeah, Judge Seamus McCaffrey used to be the judge down there at Veterans Stadium.
That's right, man. I miss that place. I don't think players miss getting tackled on it, though. Let's go to where this team is right now. The bye last year served an unbelievable purpose, right, in the direction that they went. And went on and won the Super Bowl. This was kind of a mini bye after the Thursday game. Anything you can tell us about what this team maybe saw in itself, self-scouting, something of that nature that you might see different against the Vikings coming up?
Yeah, it's a good question because it's comparable to last year in terms of the timing and also the impetus being that the offense needs to improve. So I don't think you'll see any radical shift to the run like they did last year. I think one of the big takeaways during the bye this year was the ineffectiveness on first and second down and how that's putting them behind the sticks. And you heard Lane Johnson's comments about them being predictable. And a big part of that is that when you're in obvious passing situations, right? If you have a penalty on first down or a negative play on first down, then if you're backed up in 2nd and 15, it's hard to have a running play there. Same thing on third down as well. So really trying to figure out how they can get some positive yards on first down, avoid these 3-and-out situations. But there's a lot that they need to fix on the offensive side. Kevin Patullo, the offensive coordinator, they were in on Monday. All indications where there was a positive team meeting on Monday with the offensive players. But the proof needs to go into action here this week against the Vikings.
You mentioned Kevin. I don't think there's going to be a change at play caller during the course of this season. I just think that doesn't look to be the case. We'll see as the year goes on, but it just doesn't appear to be that. So with him calling plays, and this is his first time, but he's been there forever. What would you say is the biggest issue? Is it rhythm? Is it predictability? Is it formations that he's running out of? What would you say is maybe the key aspect of why this hasn't been successful with an offensive coordinator change?
Yeah, so I would obviously say the 3-and-outs to me have been most problematic. But like when you boil it down, their ineffectiveness running the ball, they've always been able to hang their hat on the running game, even when the passing game's not going. Saquon hasn't been able to have that 100-yard game yet. And even before Saquon Barkley got here, DeAndre Swift was a 1,000-yard rusher in this offense. Miles Sanders was a 1,000-yard rusher in this offense. So they haven't been able to get that going. And then along with that, you're just not seeing the explosive plays enough in the passing game. And they're really not working the intermediate part of the field. You're seeing either the short passes or the downfield passes. And so I think a combination of the running game and really getting the intermediate passing game going would help them quite a bit.
Yeah, I look at group up front too. Like I was looking at this. 829 yards before contact for Saquon Barkley last year. I mean, that's ridiculous. Number one, obviously in the NFL, 200 more than everybody else in the league. He's got 61 this year. He's 37th in the league before contact. It's been an interesting disjointedness with what's going on in that group. You mentioned Lane Johnson and him mentioning that they're predictable in the locker room. When I look at this locker room, and I've been around it, you're there every day though, and you see the leaders in the trenches that used to lead this group over the last several years, whether it's Fletch or whether it's Brandon Graham or Lane or Jason Kelsey. I think Slay maybe had a role in this as well. But like all the names I mentioned except Lane are gone. Has that changed this room at all? Are they looking for anybody else to now slide in as they've had the same leaders for so long that can help kind of what's going on? Because this team has some, behind the scenes stuff on a regular basis.
Yeah, it's a fair question, James. And I think it's more pronounced on the defensive side of the ball, right? Because a lot of those guys that you mentioned, whether it's Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox, Darius Slay, those were players on the defensive side of the ball. I think on offense, Lane's obviously the only long-term player that's here, but Jordan Mailata, his leadership is a big part of this team. Okay. Saquon Barkley's a leader. AJ Brown's a leader. Jalen Hurts is obviously the franchise player here. He's a leader. I don't think that's necessarily the issue there. Now, I do think they need to get on the same page, and they would tell you that. I mean, that's been a major problem there. But I think on the defensive side of the ball, that void may be more pronounced. Zach Bond is the defensive leader, if you will. Reed Blankenship's there, Nakobe Dean when he gets in there. But really, before Adoree Jackson became a starter here, the Eagles only had one starter over the age of 25 on defense. And you see that big influence of Georgia players, whether it's Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, obviously Jordan Davis, Nakobe Dean. And that's kind of the core of the defense now. And so, it is a leadership change from Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox, and some of the guys that were there for a long time.
Yeah, well, listen, you're paying that offense what you're paying them. You're going to be young probably on the other side of the ball if that's the way your salary is. Before we go defensively, we saw in the loss to the Giants that I learned that Jalen Carter is a very good football player. And so is Quinyon Mitchell. If you don't have them, life is difficult. But at the same time, getting after the quarterback, you mentioned that second cornerback spot. Is it a chicken or the egg kind of with that compliment to Quinyon in the secondary that's being impacted due to a lack of a rush, or where do you see the bigger issue, and does Howie make a move, do you think?
Yeah, it's the chicken and the egg, if that makes sense, because
Yes.
I think it's you're seeing an issue with both the edge rushing and the second cornerback spot, and I don't think that. I think the two are mutually exclusive here, right? It's not if you fix the edge rush, then the corner is going to be okay. Because really they lost a lot of talent. They lost Josh Sweat and Brandon Cram. Bryce Huff wasn't a big part of the team last year, but they trade Bryce Huff. They lose a big chunk of their edge rushers, and they don't really add to that group in a significant way. And then Zadarius Smith retires this week. And then the second cornerback spot, Darius Slay leaves. Isaiah Rodgers, someone who I think the Eagles, that might be a decision they regret or wish could have worked a little differently, keeping Isaiah Rodgers, because he could have been that second corner. Now you're cycling between Keely Ringo, Adoree Jackson, and with Quinyon Mitchell, his status is a bit in question. Was on the practice field on Wednesday, but has a hamstring injury. If you don't have Quinyon out there in a game against Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, and you go on down the list, that would be costly.
Yeah.
So to answer the question that you had, I do think Howie makes a move. I think they're more likely, though, to make a move at edge rusher. Jacorian Bennett, a player that they traded for in training camp, he's coming back soon, and I think he's someone that the Eagles want to see out there. He's a young player with some starting experience. When he comes back from his pec injury, he could be in that mix as well.
I love it. Howie's never going to stay still. We know that, and they know the windows now, and we know he's one of the most aggressive GMs out there. So keep us in the know, Zach, what Howie's going to be doing. And enjoy a game against KOC and Brian Flores. A couple of pretty decent minds on each side of the ball the Eagles are going against this week. Have a good one, man.
Great. Thanks for having me on.
All right, moving on to one of my favorites on the athletic staff. Dan Popper joining us, covers the Chargers, a monster one. I think a sneaky one, Dan, the entire weekend. Colts Chargers. I'm excited for this one. I've watched everything that the Colts have done this season. We'll get into them in just a second. All the injuries that have happened with this team. Khalil Mack looks like he might be coming back, but also offensively, they've just been so banged up on the offensive line and running back. Is there anything you can tell us there of maybe anybody that's coming back, and maybe are they making a move potentially at running back, or is the running back that holds them over until Amari and Hampton comes back already on this roster?
Yeah. So Khalil Mack's 21-day activation window opened yesterday. He's been on IR since week 2 with an elbow injury. So he has a shot to play this week. That'll be huge because the Chargers have been struggling to defend the run over the last 3 weeks, and he's such a big part of what they do. He's such a dominant run defender. I think people overlook that when they talk about what kind of player Khalil Mack is. Joe Alt's been out the last 2 games with a high ankle sprain. He was back on the field yesterday doing some work off to the side, making some progress there as he works his way back. He didn't have a brace on or anything. It was just taped up. So potentially we'll see what happens the rest of the week, but obviously, getting your starting left tackle back could change things. They started, last week, their 5th and 6th string tackles. Bobby Hart started at right tackle, his first start since 2021. So some positive news there. As far as running back, I wrote earlier this week, Kamani Vidal had a great game, and he really took advantage of his opportunity, rushed for over 100 yards, first time in his career. I think they're still going to see what's out there. That's, what Joe Ortiz does. He's constantly going to be looking, but I think Kamani Vidal made a strong case that he could be the guy to at least hold the fort until Amari and Hampton gets back from this ankle injury that he's dealing with. He's obviously on IR. Yeah,
124. That's a hell of a day. 124 is 124, Dan, no matter what the run defense of the Miami Dolphins is, right? You still got to get the yards and how it goes. You mentioned this offensive line, and we've seen a different Justin Herbert, honestly, with Joel out over these last couple of games. He's been pressured a league high 99 times. I think you and I have talked before in the past about how many hits he's taken. Is there anything you see the Chargers doing to make sure that he can get through this stretch until Joe comes back or till they get some reinforcements on that offensive line to make sure they have Justin Herbert in the back end of the season?
Yeah, I think part of it sort of is what it is. You lose your top 4 tackles, there's just going to be pressure.
Yes.
But I did think last week against Miami, the game plan was really, really well structured. They obviously were able to get the run game going, which is the key. The Dolphins' run defense is terrible, and so you're not going to be able to necessarily do that every single week. But I just thought it was really smart. They got the run game going. They got into the screen game. A lot of quick game, utilizing Ladd McConkey on quick outs, utilizing Keenan Allen on quick outs. They got Oronde Gadsden involved in the quick game on some little flick outs to the flat, and he was able to get some yards after the catch. And then when they did push the ball downfield, which was maybe 4 or 5 times in the game, it was play action with max protect. So they had 7 guys in to protect, 8 guys in to protect, really give Justin Herbert some time and pick your battles as far as when you were trying to push it downfield. And I thought you had a pretty solid offensive performance as a result. Herbert still took a couple hits when they weren't able to identify a corner blitz, for example. But for the most part, I thought Greg Roman and Jim Harbaugh, Greg Roman, offensive coordinator, obviously put together a really good game plan in terms of, keeping Justin Herbert upright, keeping the offense moving and trying to help out, these tackles that, are 5th and 6th string on the roster. So some positive signs from a schematic perspective, I thought, against the Dolphins.
Yeah, and when you're that far down the roster, it's going to happen. And so I kind of wanted to ask you, because you're around him every day, and maybe people don't know this, how strong is Justin Herbert? Because I think the hits that he's taken and the guys that he sheds and how he can still do that, I don't know if most quarterbacks can go through what he's being able to play through in terms of contact right now and still be able to consistently make throws. How strong is Justin, Dan?
Yeah, ridiculously strong. Because, obviously everyone's going to focus in on the Jalen Phillips hit where he didn't move at all, despite taking a hit from a 263-pound edge rusher. But you go back to the Broncos game in week 3.
Oh, yeah.
He took a clean shot from Zach Allen.
He was a monster.
New Canaan High School, by the way. Zach Allen went to my high school. Shout out New Canaan High School.
Great guy.
Yeah. 290-pound defensive tackle, sheds him before rolling out to his left and hitting Keenan Allen. Interesting. I talked to Will Dissly, Chargers tight end, in the locker room in Miami, and he's like, all these new wave quarterbacks, right? You got the running quarterback, zone read, guys that can escape the pocket. Justin Herbert is like an original, an OG type quarterback. He said he reminded him of the big dogs like Ben Roethlisberger, where he can do all the zone read stuff. He can get out and run. He can escape the pocket. He can do the out of structure stuff, but he'll hang in there. He'll take a big hit and he'll still effing sling it. That's what Dissly told me in the locker room. So, Justin Herbert has some of that old school mentality in terms of some of these bigger quarterbacks that would stand in there, take hits, shrug guys off, and obviously has the arm talent to sling it downfield as well. So to answer your question, ridiculously strong.
It's just it is fun. He's one of my favorite players to watch. It really is something else what he's able to do. We talked before you jumped on here that you've watched everything with the Colts. I've been enamored with this team. I feel like they're one of the most efficient offenses in football. It's not that they're balanced. It's that whatever you're looking to do defensively, they just adapt to beat that, essentially, is how they operate. I kind of want to get your take on what do you think the Chargers defense has to do? Obviously, stopping the run with the leading rusher in football and Jonathan Taylor. For some reason, not enough people are talking about what he's doing. But also, I think the X factor for this entire offense is Tyler Warren. He can catch the football, but they also run behind him a lot. Where do you think the focus is? Obviously, stopping the run's the cliche part of it, and you do have to do it. But those two players specifically, is that what you have to see? How is Derwin used? What do you think happens here?
Yeah, I love what I'm seeing from this Colts offense. I have a ton of respect for Shane Steichen, who was offensive coordinator for the Chargers in 2020, Justin Herbert's rookie season. Justin talked about that this week and just said he knew immediately he was a really smart guy. I have a scouting report here that I do every week on the Chargers opponent. I have 84 Tyler Warren equals weapons circled 3 times. So that's who I'm focused on. What a player. And he did a lot. I watched him coming out of Penn State, and they did a lot of this stuff with him. They were playing him in the Wildcat as a quarterback, but they'll get him the football in all sorts of different ways. They'll attack down the field. They'll get it to him on jet sweeps. One thing that really jumped out to me is just the way that he's able to set up some of these leak routes where they'll keep him in to chip, and he'll either fake it or he'll chip and get out. And the way he's able to set up defenders in that way and find open spaces. So to me, that's the big matchup. And the guy that you have in Derwin James is one of the best tight end defenders in the league. So when you get in the red zone, are you going to play some man coverage and get Derwin lined up one-on-one with Tyler Warren? Obviously, tackling is going to be a big job with Warren because they try to get him in space and short areas and let him run with the football. He's really good after the catch. So that's the guy that I'm focused on. But it's a really well-built unit. The left side of the offensive line is fantastic with Quentin Nelson and Bernard Raymond. I think Josh Downs is a really underrated player. We talked about stopping the run. The Chargers have struggled over the last 3 weeks. So a lot of challenges here for a unit, in my opinion, with this Chargers defense that hasn't been quite as good over the last 3 weeks, obviously missing some pieces and having some injuries. But I start with Tyler Warren when I'm scouting the Colts.
Yeah, me too. It's kind of like we got a Tyler Warren love fest going on here. Because so many teams, like, it's true. They're like, so many teams are going jumbo right now. So many teams are using an extra offensive lineman. So many teams are like, but he can do all of that and still be a pass catching threat. Like it makes it really difficult on the defense. They love to run behind him. You mentioned Quentin, by the way, when they get him outside of the box and move him out in space, he's been outstanding this year. Quentin Nelson.
What a great player.
It's gonna. I think this sneakily could be one of the best games of the entire weekend, and you get to cover it. Sorry, you don't get to go to Taiwan, but you do get to cover Colts Chargers, Dan. Enjoy it. Don't have too much FOMO. Make sure they get FOMO from you covering a classic on Sunday. How about that?
Absolutely. Looking forward to it. This is why you do it.
That's right.
Big football
That's
game.
right, baby. Let's do it. Thanks, buddy. Our road trip on a Thursday continues with a guy I get to see in person on a regular basis here in Denver, Nick Kosmider. Nick, how is life being back from London? First for you personally, and then secondly for this team, them not taking a bye. Is this something that is kind of on your radar for Sunday against the Giants team?
Yeah, well, I know I was still kind of waking up and shaking the cobwebs out when we went to practice Wednesday for availability there, and talking to some of the guys in the locker room. It seemed like it was a little bit of the same thing. The Broncos, Sean Payton confirmed after the game that it was their ask to not have their bye right after London. That could work out well. They're playing a stretch of 4 home games in the next 5 weeks. So they do have a chance to kind of get on a little bit of a run here. But we'll see whether that has an adverse effect. They're the first team ever to play in London 1 week and then play a game in the Mountain or West time zone the following week. So they're in a little bit of uncharted territory here. Sean Payton, believes in the plan. Believes that they'll be ready to go for a Giants team, obviously riding high coming into Denver. So eager to see kind of how they look when this game kicks off. It'll help that, of course, they're celebrating Demaryius Thomas will go in the Ring of Fame. They're celebrating the Super Bowl 50 team. There will be a lot of juice from a fan base that has only gotten to see 2 home games so far this year. So the environment will be right. It'll just be interesting to see how ready the Broncos are to match it.
Good point. Yeah, there's a chance with this little stretch they have before they face Kansas City. They could be 8-2, Nick. Honestly, right? They could be in a really good spot by the time they face a red-hot Chiefs team in a few weeks. We're getting ahead of ourselves, or I'm getting ahead of myself. But this offense needs to play a little bit better if they want that record that I'm talking about. And you wrote a really, really good piece on The Athletic. Make sure everybody checks it out about tempo and working with tempo within this offense. What I'm fascinated by about, Nick, is they have a lot of 3-and-outs. We talk about penalties killing this offense, and when they go backwards or have, negative or just, don't get anything on first and second down, and they have 3rd and longs, which has been an issue, and they're one of the highest 3rd and long teams in football. Their drives just stall. Is this an offense that we just have to accept is just where it is, that they can't get over these type of issues like other offenses do have the ability, say Drake May and the Patriots can of late? Is this just what we're going to deal with Denver?
There's been enough evidence so far. I mean, we're 6 games in now to suggest that that's what they're going to have to overcome as a team, is the fact that their offense is going to have these lulls at certain points in the game where you punt 3 times in a row or 4 out of 5 times. And a couple of those are 3-and-outs. You hope that they can get past that and find some things that they can hang their hat on a little bit, to where even if you're not scoring every possession, you are at least generating some momentum that keeps the defense off balance. You mentioned Drake May, there's a little bit of an inevitability for the Patriots watching them right now that they're going to get some things going. That doesn't mean every drive is going to be successful. But right now, watching that game in London, it felt like during that game that, let's take, for example, in the 4th quarter, when Bo Nix hit Evan Ingram for that 12-yard gain to finally get a drive going, it was almost surprising that they were able to find something because they had just been so bogged down. You see it in flashes, and I think that's the confounding part of this. On the touchdown drive in London, they go quick game. They get Evan Ingram matched up in space, which is the whole reason they went out and got him, and create some things off of that. They go quick to the side to Marvin Mims. They have some nice design, stuff that gets guys open down the field, and then they get bogged down again. And so that's going to be really the interesting thing in this home stretch. Can they find some things that they can hang their hat on so that they can avoid these, lulls? You're not going to win against good teams if you punt 5 times in a row, and they have to get out of that.
Yeah, truly. And you look at this team, obviously there's one injury on the offensive line, but as a whole, it's still a pretty good offensive line in front of Bo Nix. They add the run game, which they didn't run the football against the Jets the way they did the previous couple of weeks, but it looks like it's a different backfield than you had a season ago that Bo Nix was operating with. And it looks like over the next couple of weeks, because the last couple, we've seen Evan Ingram, as you mentioned, become a larger part of this offense. My point is, some of the issues that we thought were there in 2024 appear to be fixed in 2025 a little bit, at least to some degree. But we're seeing Bo Nix play exactly the same way. Were expectations maybe too high for Bo, you think? Or is this something we're still waiting for him and Sean to feel out year two with some of the different things they want to do offensively?
Yeah, I think part of it, there might have been a little bit of this idea that, you know, one season working with Sean Payton under his belt was going to be enough to propel Bo Nix into just this like automatic command of the offense. You know, talking to some of the people who have been around, you know, Sean Payton's system for years, a lot of them say that like year 3 is kind of when you really, you know, hit the ground running. Like year 3 was in Michael Thomas had 149 catches because they had just figured out the perfect way to utilize him, and he had developed a perfect comfort with what they were trying to do. And so now that being said, I think what is missing from this offense, because you're right, they're better in certain ways. They still avoid sacks. The sack differential that they have is still a huge component, a huge blueprint for them winning games. They're running the ball more efficiently, sans last week, obviously with some of the offensive line issues that they had. So those are positives, but you know, they're still not finding enough success over the middle. I look at the slant route that Pat Bryant ran, that just, you know, really easy outside, quick game slant in the middle of the field. Like they got to do more of that. And that's where you got to get Bo a little bit more involved in hunting the middle of the field so that, again, they can have more things that they can count on.
That's great insight. I'm going to keep an eye out for now on Sunday against the Giants defense that we know is very good up front, by the way. Very good up front. We'll see what they can do in terms of protecting Bo Nix. I don't want to make it all doom and gloom. We have to talk about this defense that has 30 sacks that has just been absolutely unbelievable. I know we all look at the number that I just mentioned and the way Nick Bonito's playing, but is there an aspect of this defense, Nick, that maybe is a big reason for this success that is getting overlooked a little bit nationally as people are looking at this as one of the best units in football?
Yeah, it's a great question, James. I think there's a couple things. I think Talanoa Hufanga has sort of like kind of put a harder top on the back of that defense, if you will. In terms of just his kind of ability, whether it's in coverage or just his knowledge of the game, but also it really is kind of an attitude thing. I think you're seeing them get attacked over the middle less frequently, because of what he does. His ability to come downhill in the run game, you saw it Sunday, has been a big factor. So I think he's almost a guy that's getting somewhat overlooked in this. He really has solidified that back end safety spot. But I think the other thing is they cover really well. I know Riley Moss gets heat from the fan base because when you look and they do have big plays given up, it's him, right? But a defense or an offense has to attack something, and he's getting relentlessly attacked, and quarterbacks are still completing less than 50% of their passes against him. I think generally, by and large, they cover one-on-one well, and that is what is allowing Vance Joseph to send whoever he wants at the quarterback, and he's mixing it up in such a varied way that you saw Justin Fields' head spinning, but it wasn't just him. I mean, Jalen Hurts, a guy who handles pressure really well, was confounded by a lot of what they were doing. Justin Herbert, the week before that, or 2 weeks before that. So I just think all those components coming together is what really allows them to get after the quarterback in a way that is on an absolutely historic pace. I mean, since the start of last year, they have 30 more sacks than any team in the league. 10 more this year alone and through 6 games. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. And some of the simulated pressure that Vance has done up front has been outstanding. Last one real quick. You mentioned Huff playing the middle of that defense, and the middle of the defense is kind of something that they wanted to change. They brought him in. They also brought in Dre Greenlaw. His practice window opened up. He was on the practice field this week, I believe. And I remember a conversation I had with Sean during camp where he just said, "Geez, this guy is going to change the course of our entire defense. I cannot wait to watch him play in our group." We haven't really seen it, and they're already playing like one of the best defenses in football. When do we see Dre Greenlaw, and what level do you think he takes this defense?
Yeah, so last week, Malcolm Roach got his window activated. He was limited on Wednesday, practiced full the next 2 days, and then played in the game against the Jets. I thought had a pretty nice impact. So if we're going kind of along that timeline, Dre Greenlaw was limited on Wednesday. We're going to be out there in a couple hours this Thursday, and we'll see whether he then progresses to full. I think he has a decent chance to play against the Giants on Sunday. I think that they will kind of bring him along slowly, in part because Justin Sternad, the guy that he'll ultimately replace, is playing really well, especially in some of their pressure looks. Vance Joseph loves to send him at the quarterback. He does a really good job doing that. So they'll continue to find packages for him. And again, to your point, we haven't seen Dre Greenlaw play a game since signing with the Broncos, preseason or otherwise. And so he's going to need some time, I think, to probably get acclimated. I would imagine that when he comes back, there's going to probably be some sort of, packages for him or some kind of snap count that will allow him to somewhat work his way back slowly. It might only just be this week or the first week that he does play, just to kind of get a look. And again, not push it too fast with him. But if he does add that kind of component that you were talking about, I remember we having a conversation about that after you talked to Sean Payton. If he has that kind of impact, it's scary because they are just really buttoned up just about everywhere. That middle presence is maybe the one thing that could still get stronger. And if it does, it's just, I don't know how you attack this defense.
Yeah, I don't either. And they're deep. I mean, they can rotate some spots. It's a really, really impressive group. Nick, enjoy the game on Sunday. I'll see you there, actually, because it will be, I think, one to remember for a lot of Broncos fans with them honoring DT. I think it's going to be a great one. Nick, thanks for joining us. But hey, stick around, Nick, honestly. Well, that's because we have Theo Johnson, tight end for the New York Football Giants, coming up later in the show. But we have Chargers wide receiver Ladd McConkey joining the show next. Fresh off a 100-yard game, let's see what Ladd has to say about a monster matchup against the AFC leading Indianapolis Colts. More Scoop City coming up next.
All right, welcome back to Scoop City. James Palmer with you with Chargers wide receiver Ladd McConkey. And Ladd, this is where I have to start. Everybody's talking about the way things finished against Miami. Your play, I know this is hyperbole, but when we look later into the season, could this be a defining play for the Chargers and the way your season goes? Because this is one you needed badly after dropping 2.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say a defining play, but it very well could be like a defining game. I mean, we dropped 2 quick, right there back-to-back that, I feel like we can all agree we thought we should have won. So it was good to just get back on track. And Giro had talked about, some teams he's been on. It's like, you drop one, you got to just get back on track and get that game, and it can jumpstart the rest of your season. So we're hoping that's for us. But, it's a week-by-week league, and we got to go out and do it every week.
Yeah, to make the play, you obviously make yards after the catch, make a play with your legs. Justin obviously throwing defenders off him like always, it seems like. It wows all of us what he does. I mean, the throw to Keenan Allen against Denver was just unbelievable. Yeah. Are you guys still wowed by this at all, or is it commonplace you're just going to keep running routes because he's going to find a way to lose the defender and find you?
Oh, no, it's like – you're definitely still wowed, but it happens. Yeah, definitely. It happens.
Don't lose that.
Throws he makes in practice or the games or whatever. You see him on the field, but you don't really see it, and then you go back and watch the film. And you're like, oh, okay, that was that looked a little different. That looked a little more difficult than I thought. So, but he's a heck of a player, heck of a leader. So we're lucky he's our quarterback.
100%, because he can get all of you guys the ball. And I look at the 3 of you at the receiver spot, and you and Quentin, and I mentioned Keenan. You all kind of play it a little bit differently, and I think this is the best 3-person combo in the NFL. Can you kind of talk about how the three of you approach it and how you use each other within this passing game to kind of get each other open and use your different skill sets?
Yeah, I'll speak on that, but we also, KLS is coming on.
Yep.
Trey Harris has played really good. He stepped up and got his first start last week.
Yep.
He played awesome. Get DD back, him get back healthy. And so I feel like, we're deep at the receiver room, and we put so much time and effort into it this offseason to just be where we want to be. And I feel like we're only getting better, and we're a young receiver room. Keenan's a little older, but all of us are young.
You broke all those records last year, man.
But no, I mean, it's just, I feel like what makes us so special is we can all move around and play different positions, and we're all kind of, different, but we're similar as in, okay, we can all run and stretch the field, and you can put Q here, me there, Keenan there, and we can all mix and match everywhere.
Yeah, I love that you talk about moving you guys around, and you can play inside so well, but you can also play outside, and we know what Keenan can do, and you mentioned Q, but your offensive coordinator has a stigma for some reason in the NFL, right? He's just, he can be unimaginative in the passing game. And can you kind of squash that kind of perception now, what we've seen you guys go out there and be able to do? What is it like playing in Greg's offense that you like so much specifically in the passing game?
Yeah, you have your set rules and okay, run the route like this, whatever. But at the end of the day, he gives us a lot of freedom.
I was going to say that. You seem to have it.
He gives us a lot of freedom, and I think that's that comes with the trust we've built, the trust he has in Justin, and the trust he has in us and us as receivers to go do it in practice, and then obviously translate it into the game. So we all have our bits and pieces, mix and match and do it there, but at the end of the day, you get to your spot and get open, catch the ball, move the chains, and everybody's happy.
Yeah, you're kind of a student of the game. I know you study the game. And the game has evolved, so nobody just sits in the slot all the time anymore. But do you have a favorite slot guy you've watched that you like that operates from inside, over the years, or somebody in the game before you?
There's not really a specific guy that I sit there and watch. It's more of I take a little bits and pieces from everybody, see what works for people, be okay, that release was nice. Let me try to use that. Okay, that second level route, that head and shoulders to the top of the route was nice. So take little bits and pieces from everybody, and then kind of go from there. So.
Yeah, it's interesting. I had a conversation with DeAndre Hopkins a few years ago where it was interesting. He said, I study everybody that doesn't play the game like me. I can already do the things that I can do.
Yeah.
It's guys that do it differently than me. What can I steal from him? He's like, I steal from Julian Edelman all the time. He plays it a lot differently than me.
And there's definitely things you watch and you'd be like, okay, let me try that. And if it works, be like, okay. And then it's
Let's go.
Okay, that's not my game. I can't do that. Let me revert back. So there's bits and pieces you can take from everybody.
Oh, certainly. What has this offense been like with the, obviously you've withstood a lot of injuries up front, specifically in the backfield as well. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, did you expect this performance out of your running back this past week when both guys are down? And did you see this coming from him?
First of all, replacing O and replacing Najee,
it's tough,
those guys are studs. But when it was Kamani's time to step up and play H2's time, Naheem, I feel like they answered the bell. And they had done that, through training camp. And I've seen them put in the work. So, no, I wasn't surprised. And up front got it done, too. We had some great blocks and gave them some big holes, and then they did the rest.
Do you think this stretch, Ladd, you guys are going through where guys are filling in spots and in these different areas, and Q goes down 2 for a game, that on the back end of the season when guys are getting healthy too, that depth pays off. This stretch pays off for you guys.
I think for sure. I think we put our head down and grind right now. People filling in here and there, whatever it might be. Okay. But when we get everybody back healthy and then it all starts clicking, we start rolling at the right time. I think that's what it's all about.
Gosh. All right. Before we go, I'm curious. You had such a dominant rookie season. Mm-hmm. And this was your first real, because it's preparing for the league in your first one, but now your real off season. What did you do this off season to prepare for year 2 that you maybe learned, and is it paying off? That specifically what you maybe tried to do this off season? Yeah,
it was all about getting my body right. Honestly, last year was a struggle at times throughout the year, just getting week to week. So first was just getting my body. Man. Yeah, first getting my body healthy and then building a good foundation. It's not I feel like in college, you have good strength training, you're getting stronger, you're getting faster, but it can't be like individualized, it's kind of the whole team. So to be able to get that individualized training and just getting my prep down and like how I approach like before practice and recovery and stuff like that, I think it was huge for me. So I found a really good spot and I was excited about it, and I think it's definitely paid off. I feel
I was gonna say, do you feel different
this year compared to this time last year? It's night and day. I feel so much better.
Oh, that's massive. That's huge. All right, last one. This is the real last one. How far can Justin throw a football? Just like, we don't know, but you probably do.
Far enough. I don't know a number. I don't know enough, but I've never seen him underthrow somebody.
I was about to say, he's not going to underthrow you, is he? Like,
far enough.
This is not happening. Awesome. I appreciate you joining, man. Thanks so much for chatting with us, and good luck against Indy. That's a defense. Lose wily guy back there, man. Lou Anarim. So good luck.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Outstanding stuff from Ladd McConkey, but we're not done, and we're not done talking to NFL players. Theo Johnson of the Giants is going to be joining us fresh off the practice field, a place where I think there's a lot of energy right now off of that win over the Eagles. More Scoop City coming up with Theo Johnson. All right, welcome back to Scoop City with James Palmer. I am joined now by Giants tight end Theo Johnson, and I got to say, we were just chatting. I am from Philadelphia. You guys go and beat a division rival in the Philadelphia Eagles. I know that's in the past. We're looking forward. But I do want to know, after a win like that against the defending Super Bowl champs, Theo, like what is practice like? What are the meetings like? Is there an extra something there that we just went and did this? Let's push it forward. What's this week like after that win?
Yeah, I think the energy's been really great in the room and the whole building. I think it was a big win for us, not only just because it was against the, like you said, the reigning champs, but just to give us some momentum going into the back end of the season, the last 2/3 of the season. So I think the vibes are great. The energy is really high, and we're looking forward to having a good week.
You mentioned the vibes, the energy. You're in pads. I know the way you play and how physical you are. We know it about your running back. Your quarterback has that. What would you say? I think everybody has an opinion, but I want yours on the identity of the New York Giants right now.
Yeah, I think it really starts with, the front office and the guys that they've gotten here. The last couple of draft classes, free agency, they've had a type that they've recruited here, that they've drafted, that they've picked here, and it's showing up now in the games. It's showing up on the tape. Guys that are just hard nosed, gritty guys. We have a little bit of flash here and there, but like at the end of the day, we're going to let our play and our pads do the talking for the most part.
Yeah, you do that specifically, but you've been finding the end zone, man. You lead this team in touchdowns, and I'm just, Jackson has talked about the trust he has in you. And how I'm curious how that has developed between the two of you, and what now a few games into this is the chemistry like in game between the two of you.
Yeah, I think it really started back in OTAs when he first got here. He was super excited to get here, and one of the first things he said to me is like, "Man, we're gonna be like Gronk and Brady. Like we're gonna have that type of chemistry, that type of relationship." And it kind of started as, like us being friends. And now that he started to play more, it's kind of developed more into, a partnership on the field. Like, hey, this is what I'm expecting it to look like for you, rather than, us just getting some catches in on the weekend and stuff. It's more, we're having more in-depth conversations about, what he's expecting, the type of things that I'm going to do in my routes and stuff. So it's really grown a lot. I think it's starting to show up on the tape, and I'm super excited to see, where this can go, the rest of the season and in the future, honestly.
Yeah, I thought I heard some rumblings about some conversations that the two of you have had about like, well, if we see this, maybe we'll adjust it just a little bit. It seems like you're onto something there. I feel like we're talking so much about Jackson's physical traits and what he's doing. But what about the line of scrimmage, what he's doing for you guys as an offense and how he's manipulating things, what we don't really at home see, but you guys are seeing as an offense, and how is that helping all of you guys, and how are you gelling with that so far?
The thing we've started to do is use a little bit more tempo. It's no secret. We've started to play a little faster, to get on the ball a little quicker, to allow him to operate. And I think we've had a lot of success with it. So he can, see what's in front of him, and then be able to make the adjustments, as you said, and get the right play call in. Sometimes make adjustments at the line. He's been very active with making audibles and stuff. And I think it's really shown, and we've found great success with it.
Yeah, I completely agree. And when you run the football well, it helps, and you're part of that as well. In terms of how physical you guys want to be up front, I'm curious when Cam comes back to the huddle after a run where he just runs somebody over or lays somebody out. Like, what is the discussion in the huddle with you guys before maybe the next play comes in? Is it energizing the way you guys are playing and the way he runs the football?
It is for sure. If it's, there's some plays where it's like, you got to keep your head up. You're about to be playing for free this week.
Yeah.
And other times it's like, hey, man, keep doing that. Like, that's the type of energy that we need. He brings a ton of energy. You see all the sound bites and stuff on the sideline with all the juice that he has. Like, that's real. Like, he's like that every single day at practice, walk through, the team playing. Like, he's like that all the time. And it's contagious. And it's been really contagious for this offense of this team.
Yes. Is there a moment today, you're still in your pads, that you can remember of Cam on the field that you go, yeah, he's bringing it again today on a Wednesday?
I mean, I can name about 3 different occasions today. Jogging on the field, he's screaming, like you can hear him from the parking lot. The parking lot out in MetLife, you can hear him screaming and hollering. And then when we bring it up at practice, he's always yelling at everybody, hey, jog it in, no walking. And that's just how he's been every day. That's how he is every day. That's just him.
Yeah, you're going to need to bring that energy as an offense. You're facing a defense in Denver that I think you've seen the clips. What has the film study been like when you see a team that has, I believe, 30 sacks already this season? When you watch it, what jumps out at you?
Yeah, they're a very sound defense. They have a lot of talented players, very stout. I think it's going to be a great opportunity for us, a great challenge. This is I'd say our probably biggest test as an offense when it comes to their front and the type of defenses they play. So honestly, I think we're taking this in stride. We're excited for this challenge because we know we can rise to this challenge. We can rise to anything else that's going to come our way this season.
How much of this is gonna fall on you, Theo? Like, they bring 5, right? They like to do that a lot. They like to bring somebody extra. I mean, the last couple games, maybe kind of just maybe disguise it, but they love to bring some extra. How quickly do you need to pick things up in some of these things on Sunday?
Yeah, it's going to be big. There's a couple plays already where, sometimes as tight ends, you have an extra helper, a tackle working with you on a run scheme or something. There's a good amount of stuff we have where I'm going to be singled up just because, like you said, they bring 5 guys. It's just how it is. So it's going to be a great challenge for me to be able to, continue to work my technique and then be dominant in the run game this week.
Okay. Before you go, I don't want to give too much love to an opposing team's defensive front when your defensive front is playing the way that they can play and the talent they have there. What you've gone against them in practice, and they have a number of guys across just like Denver does. I'm curious, I'm thinking about that now. Is that a helpful aspect for maybe some of you guys up front? Because you faced it in camp with a number of guys that can get to the quarterback that you have.
Yeah, I think playing against the guys that we got, we refer to them as werewolves. The werewolves we have on our team has definitely helped us prepare for this season. Like Burns, how shifty he is, explosive he is. Abdul, his change of direction, his explosiveness. Thibodeau, like Dex, all those guys have helped not even just me, but like our whole offensive front preparing so that, it's not a surprise and we're playing a good team or other good edge rushers because we're playing some of the best every single day in practice.
Yeah, you are. Abdul. What was it like? Has he grown already? What have you seen in him as a player? Yeah,
honestly, I've told a lot of people. I saw him at Penn State as a freshman. And to see his growth from when I saw him as a freshman walking in the doors of Penn State to now, I got a ton of respect for him. I'm honestly super proud for him because he's grown a lot as not even just as a player, but as a person. And I think he's going to do a lot of great things in this franchise for years to come. I'm really excited for him.
Awesome. Theo, thank you for joining the show. Appreciate it. Leading the Giants in touchdowns right now. Hoping to get another one in Mile High. Don't do the salute. Well, if you want to do the salute, you can. I don't know. I've been watching the celebrations. What do you have anything that we may change up? Do we what is our thought when we get into the end zone now?
Yeah, so me and Jackson during the week, we compile our ideas, and then usually by Friday, Saturday, we start honing in what the celebration is going to be. Usually we build off of what we've done, and it just kind of keeps going from there. So we'll see how it ends up this week, but we'll definitely have something lined up.
Awesome. Well, we'll be watching, man. Appreciate it. Get out of the pads. Thanks for stopping by.
Of course. Appreciate it.
for watching Scoop City. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and feel free to leave a comment. New episodes of Scoop City drop every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday.